This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Hi, this is David Patrick Wilson. I played Superman, Clark Kent, in the television production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane. Enjoying every minute of being right here on the Krypton Report.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. I am Tyler, the Superman of Blue, and with me is James, the Superman of Red. What's up, James?
Hey, how's it going?
You know, just cracking open my morning Zoa. Yep.
Yeah.
And
coffee.
Well, hungry, why wait? Grab a imitation Great Value Snickers because Janine was going to make breakfast this morning and hasn't yet.
I bought these Kodiak breakfast bars. I love the Kodiak stuff when I get a chance. It's a little more expensive, but it's really delicious, and it's, you know, better. It's all grain. It's 100% whole grains, and usually less ingredients for the most part. This cinnamon oat and apple breakfast bar, soft bake, so it's nice and chewy. Don't gotta be all crunchy in the morning. They're delicious. It was delicious. Finished that up before we got on.
Sounds delicious. Yeah, I'm just slow. But today, my fellow Kryptonians, got a little bit of quick news. We're catching up back with regular time. So if anyone's like, this is old news. Well, as I stated before, I have been, as of this recording, about to release upon my world our production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman. And once that's over, we'll be kind of linked back up, but we'll be recording so far ahead. All right. Some Krypton, some news. San Diego Comic-Con's coming up. There was a shot of DC's booth, and what I found it interesting is it's this standard like drawings that we've been seeing of Batman in the comics, which isn't even like what Batman looks like right now. He's got the purple in his cape, Wonder Woman and Superman, but the S has been changed to more of the coin sweat S. So I thought that was interesting. James Gunn says he is not writing Creatures Commandos Season 2, which I find interesting because I feel like so much of that hinges on his writing. And it's exciting to hear about someone else working on something that's not him.
Absolutely. He did say that all the DC projects are not going to feel like Superman. They're not going to be the same tone.
Which is good. I mean, they don't need to be. That's part of why I'm as excited for Supergirl as I am.
Well, I mean, not to jump like across over the fence or anything, you know, but that's one of the things that I liked when Marvel kind of started with their universe was they were trying, at least what they promoted was trying to do a genre film with a hero in it as your primary protagonist. So, you know, I liked that idea. I know we have said over the years that they've gotten very similar, that everything feels a lot the same, you know, in tone and formula. Not everything. Yep. They have some great things over there, and I love Marvel, so.
I mean, they do a good job. Just they tried to do too much. Got too big for their britches. So, on August 2nd, the Siegel and Schuster Society will reveal the Superman statue in the Superman Plaza Memorial, the Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster Superman Plaza in Cleveland. I hope to attend, but that would be tight with our play. Let's see here. I got other news, but I'm trying to funnel it correctly. Okay. James Gunn says the DCU is building towards major event no one is expecting after Superman. If people watch the next season of Peacemaker, they'll see where a lot of these things are going. I'm calling it Blackest Night. That's what it is. Nobody.
Well, there's quite a few events across DC, and I mean, if you're kind of building your phase one and the supposed 10 projects to begin with, whether they're all exactly coming out or they've shifted a little bit, is only supposed to be around the first half of the phase. So I really look forward. Gods and Monsters, yeah.
What's more monstrous than Blackest Night? Let's see. Elliot S. Magan has a new book coming out called LexCorp. So he was promoting that. He's going to Comic-Con. I saw that real quick on his post. Let's see here. What else here? Oh, here we go. James Gunn's Superman in its opening weekend alone outgrossed the entire runs of Aquaman 2, which was 124.5 million, The Flash 108.1, Blue Beetle 72, and Shazam Fury of the Gods 57. It's kind of sad looking back at how low those grosses were of those films.
It really is. You know, and none of them, well, most of them weren't as bad as advertised or as reported on.
Out of all of those, the one I've watched the least that I would not, if I was walking to my shelf to grab one, the bottom would be Aquaman.
I could see that. My top is Blue Beetle out of those ones.
My top two would be Shazam and Blue Beetle. Because even with Shazam's faults, I still find that a fun, entertaining film. This is awesome news. James Gunn's Superman led to more than 500% surge in dog adoption interest thanks to crypto.
You pause. Allura needs me to get her something.
So crypto to the rescue to save rescue dogs.
I love that. I've almost gone to get a puppy since I watched it.
You can have one of mine.
Everybody's been asking. I want a dog, but we got so many damn people.
Yep.
Maybe when they're all older and they can chip in more.
No, I guess there was an interview. There was a scene that was cut from Superman that had Clark interacting with Ron Troop. Because there was a quote from because Ron Troop was beaten up, kind of playing, I guess, with Clark. I don't know, the quote's a little junky, but yeah, I guess he had a part and it was cut. I really do hope we get an extended, because Warner Brothers, has done this, but this is DC Studios, which is a little different.
Yeah.
But Marvel hasn't done this, and James Gunn hasn't done enough films to really have extended cuts. There's no extended Slither or Super. So I really do hope that there's some sort of precedence and we get an extended cut for this movie, because there seems to be some stuff that I would like to see.
At the very least, I would like to see some of those things as deleted scenes. I know that a lot of these movies, we don't get a whole lot, because when it's come to the past universe and Warner Brothers, I mean, they really freaking stepped in it. And behind the scenes was always just such a shit show that they didn't share stuff. A lot of the stuff didn't have a ton of behind the scenes.
And I also want to throw, I hate talking, because I feel like sometimes we talked as retaliation. People saying that James Gunn took over the studio and canceled Batgirl. James Gunn had nothing to do with the cancellation of Batgirl. That was way before he even was part of the studio. So people need to.
Right. Well, people clearly these days have no sense of time, because they have no idea when anything happened. So
yeah.
That's a pretty widespread problem these days. So no, he wasn't involved in that. That was a Zaslav call before DC Studios was even created.
Next thing, Did we ever talk about that there's a DC Studios Mr. Miracle animated series that was supposed to be coming out? Like, I found this in my notes that I keep, and I was like, oh, I
yeah.
totally
Wasn't
forgot.
there a picture of Mr. Miracle and Barda sitting on a rooftop?
Yeah, and I was like, did we ever talk about this? I was like, I don't know if we did, so I just had to bring it up again.
I would love to see it. Mr. Miracle is awesome. I love Big Barda. I would love to see her. I've always had a perfect fan casting in mind. But
for
a
Barda.
lot of for Barda, yeah. I mean, there might be better people out there, but in the spotlight of people you can see, I mean, Gina Carano would have always been I thought she would be a great Barda.
Yeah, Barda has to be buff and like built. I don't want no skinny twig girl trying to put on muscle to be Barda. No.
Well, yeah, I mean, she's big Barda. Wonder
Yes.
Woman is an Amazon, and she is as tall as Superman. She's a little bigger. She's just a little bit thicker, but Diana is still slender, but she's a big woman. Barda makes Diana look small.
Yes.
So it has to be a more muscular or thicker woman playing the role, just to be a little more accurate. I mean, she is big Barda. It's kind of a part of her character.
Already is thick. Not ashamed of it. All right. In Superman the movie, in the mural, in the Hall of Justice, which I'm telling you, I feel like one of the underlines, the Justice Gang hasn't been around that long, and the Hall of Justice was being renovated or whatever for them, because there is the mural that shows Dr. Fate, Wildcat, Vibe, Atomic Knight, Freedom Beast, Black Pirate, though Jay Garrick, Flash. It's all been, the only one that I got was Wildcat. I couldn't make out the others, but so those are confirmed.
I did see a thing, and I think I saw it in passing. I didn't get a chance to send it to you. It was somebody had done a screen grab and put a bunch of them on there, and there was like at least 8 people on there. A couple that I don't even really know of.
Exactly.
I was like, interesting, but all the big names there. I did see a fan cast of Batista as Wildcat.
I could go with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's big enough, even though he's gotten really slim these days. I think he's big enough to still be able to absolutely pull that off. And he's older now too, so it would fit with the Justice Society kind of thing where they're all older and everything. Whether you do a little bit earlier or modern day. If you do modern day, they're probably much older. But
so this is a quote from James Gunn. Superman doesn't wear his suit under his clothes. He keeps it in his briefcase.
Which is why we didn't get a shirt rip.
Right, which is a little sad for me. I'll be honest. Like,
you do love a good shirt rip, and I do think it is an iconic moment of Superman in all Superman media. But that is one thing that's always we've even called it out. Like, it's ridiculous how a cape and the boots and everything are all on underneath his clothes.
Yeah, and then
we've called it out.
And then Supergirl made it nanotech, which we did not want nanotech. I feel like everyone's like, oh, it's a nanotech suit. But that's all the news I had. We're going to get into some comments because we've gotten behind. James and I do have more comments to make about the film, but we will save that. Just let some more time go, and we'll bring that back up in a future recording. But we're going to jump into some comics. And the first thing I'm going to say is...
Chat. I had said something. You asked me a question. It always starts on the comment thing. I got to switch it over. And I don't want to switch it over when I see somebody made a comment, and it's always like minutes too late.
Technology. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we want to,
that's my bad.
So if we want to talk about the movie, all right, let's do this. Let's kick it off. We got this now. See, this is more like, we just, these are my thoughts. Okay.
I say a little more off the cuff, just more thoughts.
Yeah, because I've been making notes along the way for days now. It does feel like, in a lot of ways, the structure of the film, like people have said, it's a comic book movie. Because now, like when we did our review, I hadn't listened to anybody. Now I've listened to like all of our other friend podcasts talk about things, and I've thought about it. So, and I've made notes. But like if you look at the shots in the movie, it does feel kind of like a panel opening up, and good or bad. In some ways, it feels kind of like 3-episode arc of like the animated series stitched together. But
Right.
this is
So
this
are you
is the
talking
one we,
about? Are you talking about more like the opening crawl? I kind of felt like it was my Star Wars crawl, but
well, like the
somebody did
crawl.
say that it was like when you open it up and you got panels with all the text setting the scene. I was like,
But
yeah,
even look
that
at
works.
but even looking at the shot of how it's like close up, zoomed in, zoomed out, wider, like it looks like the type of like if you're reading like
Yeah.
something like like panels shots building up the set like but we didn't touch this. Part of Luther's plan was to get land. He was going to get half of Jarnanpur, and I love that it's still kind of a land scheme, but it's different because he created that as a bonus. Because then I got thinking about it. They talked about the oil rights he would have, but then if he got his own country and was king, he would then operate under diplomatic immunity
Right.
as a ruler of a sovereign nation. And that is a whole nother level of Luther, and that idea of like a tech utopia. But I thought that was just something we didn't limit. We don't have an AI Jarell in the fortress. There is no program of like Jarell or Lara or anything for him to communicate with a version of his parents. But this is the first time we've heard Kryptonese spoken out loud in a film.
Yeah, in a film. Yep. We've had it in a couple of other media, but
it's very hard sometimes to distinguish. Oh, we've seen that. Oh, wait, no, that was on TV because Superman doesn't save Lois. That there's no, like,
that
Lois
was awesome. She wasn't a damsel in this movie.
We got some references we may not have missed. Jitters, Choco cookies, Big Belly Burger were all referenced or signs.
I heard that people seen them. I never saw them. Yeah, I think I heard somebody say something. Didn't somebody say Jitters or something like that? But
they say Jitters.
That's all I heard. But I didn't see the other ones. But I heard they were there. I was like, awesome.
The traffic sign for Gotham. I saw that on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you catch that the Smallville pendant he had in his room said the Smallville Giants? And and I was like, was that
the school flag?
Yeah.
Yeah, the mascot is different. It's not the crows.
One thing was we didn't see his ship as a child at all. I was a little bummed about that. The one thing I like about the film is there's no, other than Nicholas Hoult, no one in this film was really a movie star. They're all just great actors that were cast for the roles to bring the roles to life.
Right. I mean, a lot of people are stars in their own right. They've been in lots of shows. They've been in as supporting characters in movies and things like that. Like down the list.
But no big like movie star. Like, oh, it's the new,
Oh yeah, Nicholas Hoult is like, he's had boom, 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 boom. He's been in every other movie that's come out over the last few years.
It's very interesting about that message situation and the connection with Supergirl, like why that might come up or something if we continue down that. I've heard a lot of comparison to this, and I wanted to bring it up on our recording, but I'd forgotten because I thought of this too because I had read the comics last year. Was like the Ultraman Black Noir thing because so like in the Boys comics, spoiler, Black Noir was like a failed Homelander clone. And it's not like that on the TV series. So like, yeah, that comparison is there. That
was a good comparison. I like that. It was like that'll tell you the whole thing. That's the story right there.
One thing that I put in here is I could almost see the scene where they have Guy at the Hall of Justice, him pulling out the Spin Master Guy Gardner figure and like hockey merch, like the Justice Gang has their own merch, like this figure right here, being like, yeah, you get some special supplies of the Justice Gang. I'm on a T-shirt, like because they're sponsored by Maxwell Lord. I like honestly see them having like tons of merch and stuff. And I was like, I get to see Guy Gardner. I almost expected like a post-credit scene of Guy like or something on the internet selling toys or selling something like, join up the Justice Gang. I mean, that'd be kind of funny, like to have the actors actually push toy merchandise, kind of like a meta thing of like, yeah, buy our T-shirts.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. I love the Justice Gang, and I want more of those spin.
And I'm surprised there's no like tie-in comics or anything for the Justice Gang, just kind of teaching us some stories. This is my question to you. We didn't talk about this. Do we think that's a white Martian that Lex had in the Pocket Universe driving his little ship around? Because he does say Martian, and Superman's like Kryptonian. And he's like, yeah, whatever. But do we think that's a white Martian? James has the cat. This is our first Luthor Corp on the film. Not Lex Corp, Luthor Corp. This, the first time Luthor had a company in a film was in the previous, and that was good old Lex Corp. This is now Luthor Corp. So, but yeah.
Sorry.
No. James was saving cats from trees. But do you think that was a white Martian in the Pocket Universe?
That was what I thought. Yeah.
Because it's another one of those things that like we all were like, oh, hey, wait, but we just hadn't got a chance to really talk about it. So yeah, I found it very interesting, that whole like almost like the driver of the river Styx, the Quran type character.
The way that he called him a Martian.
Yeah.
And the fact that he specified that he's from Krypton. And he calls same difference. To him, an alien is an alien.
Yeah. And that makes me think that like either Hawkgirl's not an alien or he doesn't know that Hawkgirl's an alien.
Yeah.
Or has alien ties. My next note is this is the best Lois Lane has ever been in a movie. The second best film Lois Lane is Phyllis Coates. I'll argue it. I don't like Margot Kidder. I don't like the relationship between her and because she's all about Superman and nothing about Clark. I'm not a huge fan of it and everything. It's the best Superman and Lois romance on film. That is an easily won battle because there really hasn't been a good Superman Clark Lois relationship in a film.
Yeah.
There's no chemistry in Superman Returns. We just briefly touched on what do you call it? On the Margot Kidder film. And I
did like Henry and Amy together. But there was so much to Man of Steel, and then when it came, it was diminishing after that. Their time together on screen was severely diminished after that.
Yeah,
you got no more.
The use of threes in the beginning crawl like we were talking about. What's interesting is if you catch it later, it's not on the crawl, but if you catch it, Lois and Clark have been dating for 3 months. So you could almost insert that at the beginning. And 3 months ago, Clark Kent started dating Lois Lane. Ultraman is a representation of Superman's powers with Lex's brain. And
yeah, I do like that. And the thing is, a lot of people talk about him getting his ass kicked the whole movie. He's only actually getting beaten up by somebody who is his power level.
Yeah,
or
Ultraman.
stronger. Yeah. The hammer when we start out, it's Ultraman. Later on, it's Ultraman. Other than that, it's Kryptonian or Kryptonite. It's
Yeah,
Kryptonite, and I love the way that they did Kryptonite in this. The way that it burned him when it got
yeah.
real close, and then the way that he was like shriveling up, like
He
he
had,
was getting poisoned.
and the point was he had never fought anyone yet at his power level. So in a way, it is kind of a coming of age story of like him realizing more and more about the effects of him being Superman and what he can go up against. I think a lot of James Gunn films need two viewings to really grasp and understand and really feel the movie out. That's just a thought I've had. I feel they get a little loose with the term metahuman, because what defines a metahuman? Because I don't consider the alien a metahuman. It just feels like something they try to just use and throw on as like, because like there's later like the meta gene. Well, Superman doesn't have the meta gene. You know, the Flash didn't have a meta gene. He was an accident. The last thing is, and this is the last piece of news. I almost forgot about this because I was so focused on other things. We got our first official promo for Supergirl, which says it's the Superman symbol or the House of L symbol with the look up, but the up is crossed out and spray painted look out, and it's her in the coat drinking a drink.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Shazam's first promo, you know. But it's just kind of nice because it's trying to show the difference that Supergirl is not going to be just cut and paste Superman, but a girl.
And I'm glad. They're two different people. They live two completely separate lives, you know.
But I mean, also,
honestly, if I hope that in Supergirl that Superman shows up. I mean, when it comes to the message that everybody is, you know, flip-floppy about, or well, not, I don't want to say flip-floppy about, divisive about one side or the other, you know, they're fine with it or they hate it. You know, that's somebody who grew up on Krypton until she was, you know, preteen or teenager.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she's how much older is she right now than when she left Krypton?
But I mean, that's why her character can be the more harder edge version of a Kryptonian. It is someone dealing with the post-traumatic stress disorder, with the anger, the rage. She, you know, she doesn't have she's good, but she doesn't have like the same sense that Cal has because of how she was, you know, like we just said, raised on Krypton.
Oh yeah, I think she'll be absolute. I think it'll be absolutely a really great story of her. It's going to be a story of her being traumatized that her entire race and family is gone. You know, that she lives on another world. She can do all these things. Everything she knew and grew up with is gone though. Like,
yeah. And she has Cal, who's
she's going to be a very different character in that regard.
All right, let's get into some comics, James. Let's kick off Superman issue 25. This was a bigger double issue. Josh Williamson. Oh yeah. Man, see, we keep going backwards. This is what happens. When James pulls up Superman 25, they just announced Josh Williamson and Scott Snyder talked about the next big event called DCKO, where it's basically a giant tournament battle to build up energy to battle Darkseid as this ultimate force. And it's going to be very interesting. Go watch the video. They put out a whole 9-minute video talking about it and explaining exactly what the event is, how it all works, and the reasons why. And it's going to be, they talked about how Metal was Batman focused, Death Metal was Wonder Woman, and how this will be Superman focused. So go check out that video.
That's awesome.
Yeah, go check out that video. It's long. I sent it to you, but I listened.
I do have to finish it. I started it, but I started it at work, and then I got called to do something, and I never got a chance to go back to it. So I only got to watch like the first minute of it, which is nothing.
I just turned it on and listened to it as I was driving, and I didn't get to actually watch it. I just, like I said, was listening. Okay. Superman issue 25. Mr. James Holt.
Yes. Perry White wins. Perry White is now the mayor of Metropolis.
Perry.
So we start with a cartoon. Superman, Lex Luthor, Supercorp. And then we cut cut off screen to Lex Luthor. And this is some time ago. This is him planning things with Supercorp and Superman before he goes to prison. This is the plan. They talk about Project XL as a backup. Lex says that it's too dangerous and too unstable and that Supercorp will work. Kind of giving us our backstory to the reveal of XL here to Mercy and to Lena. And XL is a very evil version of Lex.
Very evil with Kryptonian powers,
yes,
but not affected by kryptonite. And he comes out, he's a Lex clone. He has like the black suit, the classic black suit, the regenerative black suit from the Death of Superman on.
Right. Yeah, the black and silver with no cape.
He rejects Lena. He's, and this is, the turn where you really see that Lex loved Mercy, like bearded Lex.
Yeah, we cut back to a few days earlier, and they're out, and Lex, where his memory has been, he's gained his memory back, so he knows who he was, but he's now been a different person, and
could
he
you
wants
say
to be
that
that person.
He's making the choices that define him now.
Absolutely. And he wants peace. He wants to forget about Superman, in like fighting Superman, trying to kill Superman. He wants to forget about all that and be with Mercy. He says that the evil man that she knew is gone forever. And Mercy does not appreciate that.
No, so that's why, we see that the police have on Stryker's Island Penitentiary, they have Lex. Marilyn Moonlight shows up to save Lex, and Superman's battling XL. Moonlight shows up with the real Lex. Real Lex kicks it up with the power suit. He's like, he's going to kick your ass, which I'm glad he said that instead of like, I'm going to kick my ass. And then, we have this battle with Lex, Superman, Superwoman, and the XL really is a cool villain.
Yeah, and then it starts to during the fight, it starts to break down, starts to crack, get some white cracks in his skin, and he starts to say things like, me feel great, and no, this is wrong, something is wrong. I would say it starts to
he starts breaking up.
It starts to break further. I was looking for some more. It's a few pages down where his voice, the Bizarro speech starts to break through.
He threatens Lois. He says, after I kill you and your husband, I'll find your family and kill that boy of yours. And she's like, no one threatens my family. And just boom.
I've always wanted to do this, and she decks Lex with her superpowers.
It's almost like she goes solar flare. It almost feels like the way they draw it, because she's like a huge energy hit. And then like we see him all cracked up, and we see XL basically like, you're not Lex, Luthor, and then bearded Lex says, "But I am," and just shoots him with his power weapon, blowing his head off. And you see Superman yell, "Luthor, no!" Lena's like, "Dad," and then Mercy's like, "Lex, welcome back." And then, Superman confronts Lex.
Yeah. What did you do, Luthor? Answer me. What you couldn't. The right thing. That's what I do every damn day.
You killed him.
XL would have killed me, my daughter, you, your wife, and every single person in Metropolis. He was broken and never going to stop. You might be the Man of Steel, but you are not the Man of Tomorrow. I am. I'm done
with you.
Yeah.
Superwoman, check. And Supercorp and Mercy. I'll meet you there after I get Luthor to Strikers. Superwoman. And she says, "I can't. My powers are gone." Dumb, dumb, dumb.
Yeah. Very much like a solar flare, less explosion, more of a massive like Kamehameha heat vision blast.
Yeah. What was that, James? Kamehameha.
Yeah.
You remember that commercial? It was yeah, it was a long time ago. Okay. So the next issue, it's 26, we'll pick up there, is dun, 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 Superman 26. This is the Summer of Superman issue cover with him red. This is what I call high blood pressure Superman.
Superman's getting old. He's got high blood pressure.
Yeah,
people would say that he got that All-Star Superman he got skin cancer.
Yep. And this is him getting high blood pressure. I love it. This is a quick recap at the beginning. It shows him with versus Farm and Graph, Lobo, what he did with Satana in that Nightmare one, and then it shows Superman. It's called Superman Red Part 1, and it shows him showing up like, "Luthor, what have you done?" And he's like radiating red. He's on Stryker's Island. Luthor's like, and then it says Stryker's Island Penitentiary earlier that day. And it's Luthor talking to Lena. And, he's like, "I don't want my daughter in prison." And basically he's trying to be good. And he's basically paying for all the stuff he did. She's talking about how he ruined her and what she did by giving her to Brainiac. Mr. Terrific is running tests on Lois to find out what happened to her powers. Then we have, very interesting, an interlude that shows Zod.
You know what sorry, before we just jump to Zod, you know what I love reading right now with the Justice League Unlimited and other books like that is we've got people like Mr. Terrific and Ryan Choi and Ray Palmer all working together. We've got this whole genius group of people working, you know what I mean? They've got they're really, and the Watchtower, the way they've got it sectioned off, people got different areas, the way the stories are written across the books, because you got the Question on the Watchtower doing their thing, the Titans, they come and go, they've got their place. It's really cool time to be in the world in the DC universe right now in the books.
It is I read the first issue of the new Mr. Terrific.
I downloaded that. That's on my list to read. Especially since he's been such a prominent character. He's in Justice League Unlimited. He pops up in the Atom Project. He was in he is running things leading from the Watchtower in Challengers of the Unknown.
Good.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So we see the interlude is Zod's ship being taken over. And that's one page. And then we go back to Lena talking with Mercy. And we see that Mercy really is bad. We really are seeing Mercy's true colors. Where Lena's like, "I trusted you." And then we all did. And there's Superman outside the window. And Superman confronts Mercy. And then I love this. "Miss Graves, we have a problem. One of Super Bikes was just stolen from lockup. what? Those are under our best security measures. No one would be able to take one. Who stole it? It was Lena Luthor.
Of course it
And,
was.
and Lena's leaving. It says, "Welcome to Midvale, home with Supergirl," which is a setup for the Supergirl comic. Then it goes interlude, the end of time, and we see basically a version of the Legion that has the Time Trapper Doomsday, and this is from the Absolute universe because they're all apocalypse based. They all have the Omega symbol.
Mm-hmm. Where it seems that makes sense to me, with the way that they talked about All In and the fact that, the Prime universe is kind of like Superman is kind of the light and the driving force to that side. And he was the inspiration for the Legion in the future, that if in Absolute, Darkseid is the driving force there, that, he would be in control or some sort of inspiration for a future horrible Legion.
Exactly. And I guess when you read that thing from Scott Snyder talk about what they're going to do, it kind of makes more sense. And then Superman's talking to Lex in prison. Lex makes the statement asking how Lois is post losing her powers. And he says, I can give you, her powers back. I want to give her powers back. And he's like, I don't trust you. And we see Lois, and Lex is trying to be like compassionate here. Like, hey, what does that do to a person to have those powers and then lose it? And how she's feeling and everything.
Yeah, he says, what if she begins to resent you for not helping her get those powers back? Yeah.
And then Superman, like we see Lois on top of the Daily Planet just kind of looking out, looking sad, and he's like, Superman, that's where I don't need marriage counseling from you. And he turns into blood pressure Superman. That's what I'm calling it. I don't care. I don't even care. Because of the year that I've had and the issue that happened and everything with me, like it just helps me laugh.
So it's deeply personal, the Red K story for you.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes. Exactly. So he starts raging out, as we do. And he's tearing through these guards, which I hope are just robots and not people in suits, but I think they're people in suits because he's like ripping. But Luthor goes to Farm and Graph and is like, we have to save Superman from what you did. And after we save him, I promise you the three of us will fight. Superman starts to control it. The red kryptonite point is draining my powers. I feel like I might explode. I need you. And then Marilyn Moonlight shows up. Metropolis must be saved from you, Superman. Which I'm like, okay, it's kind of lame, but whatever. But that was Superman, 26. We should be getting 27 like this upcoming week.
I was gonna say, yeah. When did this one drop? May
28th.
It was released May 28th, so we got it June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick here, we'll do Superman: A Friendship Unleashed, #1, presented by Milkbone, as a nice tie-in. Just a nice, lovely story of Superman and Krypto. It's more crypto-based. It's a nice little short comic, 8-page story. I feel like this should have been like a mini comic that was printed in like every box of Milkbone. Because it's just Superman and Krypto in the park. We see Ron Troop. There he is. Ron.
That's the scene.
Yeah. We see Krypto with some dogs, save a fire truck. He uses his heat vision, which I'm still bummed he didn't do in the movie. Superman saves some fire, some engineer workers from the fire. And, we see all the people giving their dogs milk bones. And that's the end. It's just a cute little, nice tie-in story. So just thought we should mention it.
Well, yeah. Yeah, if you've seen it, if you read it, yeah, I didn't get a chance to, but
It's nothing, but it's so keeping with crypto, we're going to jump to the Crypto, the Last Dog of Krypton. Very interesting story. I like it. My personal is I like when we get some sort of like dialogue from crypto. Like one thing was like in the Super Pets film, because me and the kids rewatched that recently. I like that he's talking. I turned my 5-year-old who's in the play onto that film. He loves it. I found him a Super Pets coloring book at Ollie's yesterday. I bought for him to give to him.
Oh, that's nice.
You'll get a kick out of him when you see him. He's a cool kid. And I like in the movie, like they're talking bark, 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 but then like we hear dialogue, and then the crypto cartoon, his collar, translates. So when he goes to bark, it's like kind of like the dogs in Up. Like,
yeah.
So and I kind of like that sometimes, at least some sort of inner. But Crypto, the Last Dog of Krypton, Part 1, written by Ryan North, Mike Norton, artist, Ian Herring is colorist, Lucas Gatanti is letterer, Jay Lee and June Chung is cover, and group editor is Katie Kerbert.
Looks just like a Jay Lee cover.
Oh yeah, straight up. I have a cover signed by him of the Batman, the New 52 Batman Superman book. So. Oh
yeah, nice.
We start with Crypto breakfast. We see him getting up, and there's Jarrell with feeding baby cow, which I really like. Okay, I like when they show like the father being nurturing too, and the mom's taking care of the dog, because that's kind of how our house would be.
Right.
I see. Here's another problem.
The baby, and I'll take the dog because the dog listens to me.
Like here's a thing that I really wish they would establish in Superman's parents. Jarrell should have black hair with brown eyes. Lara, sorry, Laura's Supergirl's mom. Lara could be blonde, but she needs blue eyes with the spit curl.
Yeah.
And the idea is he inherits his curl in his hair and his eyes from his mom, and he gets his hair color from his dad. That way it's kind of like
his overall structure, seeing as they kind of look a lot like one another.
That's so that kind of like, we see both of his parents represented in him. We see them pour the canned dog food in Crypto's bowl. He eats. They're loving on him very much. They talk about the Science Council. We see Lara walking Crypto. There's another Kryptonian with a dog, and they're talking about the earthquakes. We see Crypto curled up with baby Cal as he sleeps, and then they basically take Crypto's collar off him. It just looks like a regular collar with the house symbol on it. He's not wearing a cape, which bummer. And they put him in the rocket ship to test, and they're all talking about how much they love him and everything. And he's in the ship, it's going good, but then it hits a wormhole, and it's a rogue wormhole, and Crypto gets sucked in and crash lands on Earth. It says pod opening, it says Metropolis 50 miles. He's just a white dog walking around. It looks like he might even get hurt through a fence, which I found interesting. And then he's picked up by a little boy walking on the street. Says, "It's okay, we can be friends. I don't want to worry. I can protect you. Hello, dog. My name's Lex. What's yours?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, this could be a really cool story.
I really liked this story, the way that the entire book is told from Crypto's perspective. Everybody's talking around him, so you get the world around him. You get Jor-El and Lara with baby Kal-El. We got baby Kal-El at a time, like he's on Krypton. They're talking about, the months possibly before
Mhm.
before the planet's going to end. We've got even the Science Council telling the public that there's nothing to worry about, that it's a natural cycle, and so the government spreading misinformation,
Mhm.
that causes the downfall of Krypton. I love how crypto. It's all from crypto's point of view. It's crypto in the ship when they're talking to crypto over video monitoring. Um,
Mhm.
how they say stay calm, and they tell him that they love him and that he's the best dog, and he falls asleep in the pod before he crashes on Earth. I thought that was interesting too, how he got hurt. Like, it's dark when he lands. Maybe going through the wormhole has slowed down his
Metabolism.
absorption, his metabolism of solar rays, so he's not getting powers yet.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Yeah, very interesting. And then of course, meeting Lex at the end. I love how it's an old timey metropolis.
Yeah.
It's definitely a while. The cars and the buildings and the clothing. It's definitely a much older time. I mean, the car here looks like it could be a car they drew in Action #1 back in the 1930s, 1940s.
Right.
So
That's
I don't know when this is. Yeah.
so I'm very curious. So yeah.
Really cool book. Really cool story. Being told
I,
from the dog's perspective. I'm interested in, of course, meeting Lex, and it's not quite the crypto that we know that I'm aware of.
yeah. So I'm
But
in.
clearly crypto's had different versions. We've discussed a number of them over the last couple of years.
So I'm curious, but all right. Now we did Action Comics. Let's see. I don't understand why on the app it doesn't group stuff together, like at alphabetical order. You know what I'm saying? Like, why my action? I have an action comic like in the bottom. Like, it must be group over like time, but I don't know. I prefer they
Yeah,
do that.
sometimes I don't know why the numbering or anything, why it throws them off. Sometimes you'll have it. So if you're just trying to read it in sequential order, sometimes it won't even be the next one. So they've got some issues there when it comes to the categorizing and grouping things. I mean, as it is, I've got those 3 issues downloaded, so I have them in a row that way.
Yeah, like I have them on here, but so we're doing an Action Comics 1085 and 1086, which is the Kilgore section. James, you want to go ahead and take that over? It's the Superman Super All Stars of Action.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Metropolis, Lois, and Perry are, discussing a bunch of stuff. It's been a long while since I read this, so we're not going to be all up on what's going on here. But Lois was supposed to go to a research facility and be the one to report on it, an Arctic research facility, or an Antarctic, Northern Greenland. And so Clark goes. He ends up getting sent as the person covering the research. And while he's there, the place is attacked by polar bears, cybernetic polar bears. They got cybernetic bits attached to their heads and stuff. So they're very aggressive. They come in. Superman shows up in an awesome white and blue suit. I really like that suit. I think it looks cool.
It does. It's one of those like, hey, we now need to, make more Superman action figures. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. Hey,
Superman,
I would
Arctic,
get.
Arctic
Yeah,
Black
right.
Superman.
You know when
I-
you get like the Batman toys for the old Batman movies, and you'd have like Arctic Batman and
Exactly.
radioactive Batman and or scuba Batman or whatever, and none of the crap took place in the movies, but they needed to sell toys, so they just gave you a bunch of different ones.
Exactly. Because they're
Um,
like, we have this, we have to do something with it.
yeah, I think this suit looks awesome, though. I mean the light blue, the real light blue that they use, almost teal color, and the white, I like the way it pops on the collar and the wrist cuffs and even the cuffs of the boots. I
Mhm.
think the Arctic suit looks really cool.
It does.
But he snatches up the polar bears and takes them away, and then Clark Kent shows back up. You miss Superman, and he says, "I hear that a lot." But so he's later he's out in the out in the wilderness trying to kind of look around, see what's going on, why there would be cybernetic polar bears in here, and a giant robot, a giant machine reaches up out of the snow and tries to grab Superman. He managed to hide from his X-ray vision. He couldn't see him, so it surprised him that robot came up out of there. But he grabs the robot and he just sends it flying. And says kind of heading towards the research facility, and then that's when he encounters Kilgore.
Mhm.
Yep, and that's there. Indeed, and I have. He says, "Well done." With exactly 17.6 more of you working 12-hour shifts, you could refreeze the Arctic ice sheet all on your own. Unfortunately, there is only one of you, and you are in demand everywhere. But Kilgore, I should have guessed it was you. But cybernetically enhanced polar bears, teleportation devices, you've gotten some upgrades. Indeed, I have, and I have been waiting to deploy them against you.
It's very, very interesting.
So,
Like Kilgore, like it's just like, oh, okay.
yeah, I mean, the only Kilgore I've ever read, I believe, is pretty much from Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
Cyborg comics.
So
So 86, they are facing off against one another. They say Superman Action 86.
yep.
1086. There we go. Yeah.
10,
Superman and Kilgore begin facing off against one another. Says, "Join me." Join you in what? And he says, "Look around. Nothing but wasted resources. When all of this melts, it will open the entire North to trade. Imagine container ships sailing from North America to Asia in a single day. Some life forms will die, but those with foresight will be enriched, and machine life forms will gain access to uninterrupted supplies of energy. You're standing in the way of progress, and all because of strange sentimentality." And he questions, sentimentality? Is it sentimental to protect the planet I love? A planet that's home to trillions of living things who have nowhere else to go? It says, "For a god, you are a fool. You are not protecting anything. You simply fear the world that is to come. And what world is that? Mine. A world in which the limited decision-making capabilities of the human mind are replaced by the superior cognition of machines."
that sounds wonderful. Then we get killer whales.
Yeah, and we get cybernetic killer whales cracking and coming up through the ice. And that was pretty wild to see massive killer whales coming up. That was cool. They come up through the ice right in front of the researchers, and Superman pushes it back down and freezes the ice above it again.
Poor researchers.
Superman uses his X-ray vision and his heat vision. He gets up close to Kilgore to get a better look at his upgrades. Says that polymers might work to hide something I don't know is there, but when it's standing in front of me, I can look right through it. And he uses heat vision and melts something, a power supply, kind of incapacitating Kilgore. And then chucks him into low orbit. He destroys and releases all the control restraints from the orcas to allow them to get back out to their pod a couple of miles out. And Clark shows back up as soon as Superman leaves.
Of course he does.
That's really funny. Mr. Kent, I didn't see you back there. For a journalist, you do seem to miss a lot of the action. Oh, I'm always watching from somewhere.
Don't winks at the camera.
Yeah, right. Then he said he's going to go turn in, and he heads out to the Fortress of Solitude, where he gets a notification that his deadline is tomorrow, and the next day he's back in Metropolis, at home, typing up his story.
And it says Solitude Part 2. It's funny. Oh, it's funny because,
Yeah.
Lois is the editor, which I think works. Like, I like the idea. Like, I want to see more of this. Lois is the editor, which we're doing great, and Perry is mayor. Because now I have an affinity for Perry White. He's now become a bigger character, in my opinion. I do want to throw this out for our readers. As we review comics, a lot of times James and I wait for arcs to complete. Like right now, Superman Unlimited, we talked about reviewing it. It's dropped 2 issues. It's so far a really good book. But we're going to wait for a couple more issues before we talk about it, just to kind of see where it's going a little bit more. Same thing with Absolute Superman. We'll do another, and this big World's Finest crossover completed, so we will get there.
World's Finest and Justice League Unlimited.
I'm going to take over, and I'm going to do the start of the new Action Comics that has now become the Superboy book that you'll hear a little bit about later in this episode with my tidbits of my interview with Mark Waid from our Capes and Lunatics podcast I was a guest on. But Action Comics is now Superboy. And it starts with Superman.
All new adventures of Superboy.
It says the Expo of Tomorrow in the Sun Dome. And we see Superman letting some kids fly around with Legion rings that he has set for low altitude. And he's talking to Mayor White. And then he, we see a shot of a young Clark looking up. And then now he's back to current Clark. And he's kind of narrating the whole thing, which is nice. And then we go, the summer I turned 15. And we see him on a bus, him, Jonathan, and Martha. And he's wearing his Superman outfit under, but they're talking about, I was still getting the knack of flying, but at that age, I could go pretty far from Smallville, so long as I kept a low profile. And, Clark's complaining to his parents, we could have flown. And they're like, we can't afford plane tickets, Clark. And he's like, you know what I mean. And she says, you haven't gone already. We said we'd go as a family. He's like, no, Mom. And then she's like, Clark Joseph Kent. She sees his outfit. And they start arguing about when it's time and all this, about him doing things. It's a big deal, and they're trying to wait for your big debut. We must be fully prepared because there's questions that people are going to ask that maybe we don't have answers for yet. And they get to the Expo of Tomorrow. And he talks about,
it's interesting that so many versions of the Kents want Clark to hide himself.
my thing is, I try to think about if I was a parent. It's like, all right, hide yourself until you're prepared, like until you've learned your skill and you're ready for it, and you're prepared, like you've got your thick skin, you're prepared for the consequences, you have an idea of the consequences, so that when they do come at you or anyone does attack you, you're ready, both physically, emotionally, and mentally. He talks about his telescopic vision appearing.
I think that would actually be every parent.
It should be every parent. Seriously.
Yeah, I think there's just, because it's Superman and it's a comic book, there's just this idea of, like at all costs, little less like parents actually have that worry.
Yeah. We see him walk through the yesterday and tomorrow, where we see the previous like Justice Society heroes. Now, I have not got to read any of Mark Waid's upcoming history of the DC universe, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I want to check that out. I really like this whole splash page. It's not a full like double splash page, but it's a single splash page of him using his telescopic vision to see all the way from the bus all the way to Metropolis.
I like that they have
the expo before they get there.
I like how they have to take a bus. Like probably it's it's a couple of hours away or longer. Not just a round trip 30 minutes.
Well, how many times have people said, like, somebody who can move that fast, like, how torturous would it be to have to drive 3 hours to get someplace when you can get there in 15 seconds? So something like that, growing up with his parents, it would be, you drive 3 and 4 hours a day all the time, back and forth, one direction. So, for you, if you could be there in 15 seconds, you would freaking love it.
Yeah, I get impatient sometimes.
That's why we need maglev trains, 600 miles an hour. You get from one end of this place to the other in like 45 minutes. But this would be something that he would have to mature into, That's an interesting concept of him having to mature into having the patience to do that. I can get there right now. But no, you got to sit on the bus with your parents the whole ride.
You're like, dang it. I like this part. Ma and I made the rounds while Pa rested his feet a lot. The road tomorrow was less his thing, but he was a good sport. It was the best day ever until it wasn't. And we see a big kaboom. And this isn't the future of some idealistic utopia of dreams being sold to you by tech companies and government agencies. My name is Ray's. My people and I have seen tomorrow, and I'm here to educate you. The future is violent. The future is bloody. The future is now. And I like how Pa just looks at him and says, go, make us proud. And Ray's throws a giant hunk of rubble, and then we just see someone look up and boom, Clark catches it. And what I love is he's wearing his suit, but he's literally wearing red shorts.
And red, like, Converse.
I love the Converse. Love
it. With a regular brown belt. Red shorts with a regular brown belt, too.
And then he gets hit by, like, a rock or something, and he's bleeding, and he's like, the first time... he said, they say everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's something I never really taken to heart before then. I'd never actually been hit before. And we see Martha and Jonathan watching. And I love this. Much less been an actual fight. But I wasn't going to be a punching bag. I was strong, really strong. I knew that much. So I threw a fist at super speed filled with confidence that eroded in a nanosecond when I suddenly realized I had no idea how hard I could hit him without risking his life. So then Clark gets hit again. And he starts hearing everybody. He lost focus and starts hearing everything. And one whisper cuts through. Clark, remember your lessons. Thanks, Pa. And, he spins around him. He's like, I asked you nicely to give up. Rips off the guy's helmet, destroys his helmet. Tell your people they'll get the same deal. Where are they? How do I find them? He said nothing. I hadn't laid a finger on him, but once I'd given him something to be afraid of, he simply fainted. If you don't believe me, just check the newspapers. It was like, people are like, get a picture. You saved our lives. What's your name, kid? Who are you? And he flies off.
Choo, flies off, leaving the crushed helmet.
And then at the very end, we see your orders, General Lane. And then we see somebody who's watching on TV. That won't do, new boy. That won't do at all. And someone goes flying off. Dum dum dum. I'm excited. I'm excited for this book.
Yeah, that's curious. I was very curious about the end of that. Who's flying? People getting a glimpse and getting a picture of a young Superboy at the time.
So the last 2 issues we'll hit today is because technically, I guess it's a 2-part arc, because I've actually heard people complain about issue 3 a lot online. Supergirl, the new Summer of Superman Supergirl. We have the start of the book. We have Kara stopping Princess Shark. That's all I'm going to leave there. With Crypto, and we see her do some other things. We see Streaky. We see her go into Candor. We see her say, Laura on, I know you, remember? Oh no, hold on. Eek. Don't worry, I got you. And we're setting all this up. The Kindorian Science Council, how they kind of reject her. And she later calls her mom and wants to come home to Midvale. Okay. She packs up. We see her with her magic comb. I thought this was interesting because I don't remember this. Because like Supergirl's origins and everything is so convoluted. She's turning now to Linda Danvers. As she combs her hair, it turns from blonde to brown, puts on her glasses, and then shows up a few weeks later to Midvale, home of Supergirl. And there's all this Supergirl merch. She's like, I haven't been here for a while. How do they know who I am? And it's this very like different looking Supergirl, short bob hair, wide hips, thick Supergirl. She shows up at her house, and all of her Supergirl old suits and everything are in a box just on the corner. She grabs them. She sees an old friend who's like, Linda Danvers, it's me, Clarissa Giltich. They talk about Supergirl saving people and all this stuff. And then, that car. Boom, I got you. She's in Supergirl mode. Then, no, wait, that's not Supergirl. That's the imposter Supergirl that they warned us about. Wait, I am Supergirl. I knew she would show up here sooner or later. I was right as usual. It says, who are you? I'm Supergirl. And there's the live, like, in person with a super rabbit, short-haired, skirt, thick thighs, Supergirl. And she throws, like, this purple goo on her face that starts to, like, burn her costume to where it says, like, imposter. So Kara Linda changes back into Linda. Her parents let her in, but they're like, we don't know who you are. Who are you? And then down comes the stairs. I'm Linda Danvers. And it says, no, I'm Linda Danvers. At least I think I am. Dum, dum, dum.
Yeah. Like, that's funny, her kind of questioning, at least I think I am. Like, the only reason you'd be questioning your own identity, I think, is if you think, like, maybe I flew through a wormhole and I'm in a different universe in Midvale or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, she calls it her old chromatic super comb. That she can brush her hair and it can change to different hair color. Women would love to have that.
Dude, I would love to be the person who makes that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you would be rolling in dough.
Absolutely, you would. I liked the first issue. I liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, I did
I,
too.
I like the look of the new Supergirl. I like her outfit.
Yeah,
You know, the only thing that when she was drawn, I was like, man, she's a little bucktooth.
that was
I
a
was,
little
I
shocking.
was like, that's a choice, but it is the character. I was like, okay, so
Yeah, that was one I was like, okay.
yeah. And then you see the new Linda Danvers coming down the stairs. You're like, well, clearly that's the same. That's the same Supergirl we just saw. Kind of doing the same thing that Kara's been doing.
Yep. All right, James, you want to take us into issue 2?
Issue 2. Issue 2 begins. We've got Lesla Lar leaving. This is after she had been saved by Supergirl, and we see that she's a big Supergirl fan. She kind of loves everything about the world. She's got incredibly low self-esteem about herself, about her inventions, about her herself as a person. Like it's a very personal, depressing story for her. And then she decides with her inventions to go to Midvale, and the sun powers her up. She gets really muscular, and she gets really thick thighs. She takes off her glasses. She calls it her super substance cosmetics. She changes her face and her hair to look, and her eye color to look more like Supergirl.
Let's
It's
just
not
pause there
identical.
because, first of all, just her coming there, she has powers now. Okay. And let's just admit that her cosmetic invention, she would make $1 trillion and be even more powerful than Lex or anybody else. So
Pretty much.
she missed her opportunity here.
Yeah. Yeah, but she'd be bringing alien technology to Earth, though, too. She does.
Nobody would care. Nobody
No
would
one
realize.
would care. No one would care. But she also has a bunny she calls Candy, who is now a super bunny flying around. She has a hypnotech manipulator where she manipulates the Danvers into thinking that she is Linda. She gets rid of Supergirl's old costumes. She calls them ugly old costumes. She does some things to help, like saving a cat out of a tree and helping an old lady with her groceries. But then she starts to push that. She says, however, it's going to require something more to truly ingratiate myself. So she blows a tree over onto a woman, and she catches it to like be her savior, to start to get some recognition. Then we cut to now, where it's Kara and Lesla against facing off against each other. It's funny how Kara's kind of nemesis here is coming out with the LL
Right.
Kryptonian name.
I kind of wish they would have went a beat longer and like gave us like this was. I wish this was issue 3, and issue 2 was a little bit more of like the mystery and everything. But whatever.
Yeah, but Lesla releases Titano. She's got kind of Titano shrunk in something, but releases it, and he destroys the house, the Danvers house. But her and Lesla both save a parent, so nobody gets hurt. And then they're kind of both fighting Titano. She's fighting Titano to, for the popularity, for the recognition. But like Titano's going to fall over on a house and crush somebody. So Kara stops. Her suit's got this P on it. So now it's like Phony Girl. They kind of call her. So yeah, they're fighting. Kara's trying to save everybody as this is going on. The people see that Phony Girl is saving them. They're kind of questioning it. She uses Titano's kryptonite eye beams though on Leslie Lar, and it's knocks her out, sends her to the ground, and her disguise, her super substance makeup, just runs off, and her appearance returns to normal. The red hair, the green eyes, and Kara knows her, Leslie Lar. She says, "You remember me?" But she gets mad at her. "You ruined everything," and she storms off crying. Got Supergirl battles Monster Ape, Supergirl, Super Fake. Plus, Angelina Gorilla shrinks to the size of a kitten.
The one guy is like, "Sure, swell. Midfield will have 2 Supergirls now." Not even to mention, like, you escape Kandor and you're at full size. Can we just pause that for a second? Like,
right? Like, did you invent the technology to do that? Like, everybody's been waiting for that.
And then this is where we have our catch up where Kara calls someone she needs someone to talk to about everything, calls Lena, and she's like, an L calling a Luthor for help. The world must be ending. Let me guess. And she talks to her, and then actually, I'm in Midvale, which goes back to where we pick up where we saw Lena leaving in Superman. We see Lesla in her like a basement making guns and stuff, weapons. She's with her rabbit.
And then we kind of get an old dress up montage for Supergirl with a bunch of her old costumes and Lena. And it kind of is in between. It's got revealing of Leslie Lar kind of creating her own costume with an L in the shield. And we got them back to back. Her in her purple and green. Imagine that.
Yep.
And Supergirl, which Supergirl's costume is pretty cool.
I do think it's pretty cool, but it's kind of interesting that that's the one they go with, because you think they'd try to make it more synergistic to what it was and building up towards like a coherent looking Supergirl. Because they made a big deal of like her costume for like the first issues and stuff.
Right. So, kind of looking like the movie or the Woman of Tomorrow a little bit.
Yeah, because that's how it started, which is more in vein with like the Rebirth looking, and I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of interesting like how they end this costume. But
yeah, I don't know. She has a little personal style in it a little bit. You know what I mean? Less like Superman uniform, more, just what she wants.
But that is our comic catch up for now. Like, I'm being summoned, so I'm needed to save the world, my friends. Yep. Stick around the episode to hear me and Phil in some excerpts from our chat with Mark Waid that I did over on Capes and Lunatics. That's very informative and neat. Check out that full interview over there, and then a few quick comments from me. So stick around. Please enjoy these excerpts from my interview with Mark Waid, where Phil and I from Capes and Lunatics interviewed him. The full interview is available on the Capes and Lunatics Network, on their podcast channel, and their YouTube. Now enjoy.
Mr. Mark Waid. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
I just wanted to tell Mr. Waid something. So before we started recording, I told him like my family, we're all part of a local production of It's a Bird, It's a Plane, Superman. But I thought you'd appreciate. I have a 5-year-old who's part of the show. His sister's been on the show. He watched me in my last play and loved it. And I was trying to think of something for him to do in the play because he's enthusiastic.
Sure.
Well, as a visual, though this is not actually in the play, as a visual, we have dressed him up as Crypto the Superdog.
Oh, that's great.
So he is in costume of a dog, and he's running around with the newsies going. And
I bet that's
I made him
delightful.
A little crypto collar. So
that's great.
I thought you'd appreciate that.
I will say, and again, this is nothing spoilery at all, but I will say that putting out a Superman movie that you can take a 5-year-old to is it's been way too long
Oh yeah.
since we've done that, and that's one of the reasons I like what I saw.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm so excited. I mean, especially after I heard you liked it. I saw like a lot of my favorite storytellers. JMD Mateus said he loved it. I'm just like, oh, now I'm really, you know.
Yeah,
I saw Dan Jurgens just give a thumbs up. I was
exactly.
like,
Everybody's got little quibbles, and we all do as storytellers because that's what we do. But that's it doesn't obviate the fact that we all had a really good time. We all enjoyed the premiere.
And speaking of Superman, I mean, you're no stranger to Superman, but
Heard of him? Yeah, it's not just a short Superboy arc. It's like, no, this is Superboy's main book until such time as we decide to shuffle things around again.
oh wow,
and that's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Like I love when you did the Phantoms.
Thank you.
In action. I found that very enjoyable. I found that very refreshing at the same
Thank
time.
you. Yeah.
So when this was brought up, I was like, oh, okay, I'm intrigued. Like anytime that your name is attached to a Superman story, like I just got done reading the book with Ed Gross where you guys did an in-depth more conversation.
Oh yeah. Actually,
about Birthright.
That was a lot of fun. Ed's a good guy, and that was a series of interviews. It's really neat. It's a little chapbook that's about 100 pages, and it's interviews, in-depth interview with me 20 something years ago when Birthright had just come out, and then a little follow-up interview with me looking at it through the lens of today. And I think it's a little fun read.
It was great. Ed, I got to meet him in person. I had previously interviewed him a couple years ago. I won't take up all the time, but what's funny is I met him. He was like, "Oh, I'm doing a auction of my my definitive history of Superman. We're doing a raffle for it." So I got a ticket, and my wife, my son, and my daughter all got tickets. And then they brought my kids up on stage to pull tickets.
Cool.
And my daughter's like, "Daddy, I want you to get this for Father's Day." And I'm like, "Baby, it's okay." She goes up there and she pulls my ticket.
Oh, that's amazing.
And she just looks at me, and even the other people look at me, and I'm like, I was like, we couldn't have cheated.
Exactly.
Like,
Nope.
I'm
no
like,
funny
so,
business here. Yeah.
I'm like, nope. So it was amazing.
Oh, that's great. And it's a terrific book. I mean, The Definitive History of Superman by Ed. It is this gigantic, like Taschen-sized hardcover tome that is as close to a definitive history of Superman as I've ever read. So I heartily endorse it.
It was amazing.
Cool.
But yeah, back to your Superboy.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. But enough about Ed.
there's
back to me.
It's a book that I want to read with my son to kind of like reintroduce the Superman character.
Yeah.
And like kind of find an endpoint for him that he might connect with a little bit more. That's with Superman being technically Superboy. So
yeah, that's for those just joining us. It's Action Comics is now the tales of Superman when he was a teenager in Smallville and took up the Superboy identity. And what's exciting to me about that, I mean, Superboy hasn't really been a part of continuity for like 40 years, off and on. But I love the opportunity to show Superman becoming Superman. I don't want to read adult Superman stories where he's still learning how to be Superman. I didn't come here for that. I came here for Superman. But if you're going to give me a chance to tell stories of Clark trying to figure it out and in a hurry, because the premise of this whole series is he just turned 15. He's told by his parents repeatedly, we've made you a little suit, but 16, we're going to wait until you're 16 because we have a lot of stuff to figure out. And we got to anticipate a lot of people's questions, including questions we haven't even thought of yet. So we have to be bulletproof by the time you take on the identity and show up in public a year from now. And then as circumstances have it, there's a terrorist attack and he has to step in anyway. And now he's out. Mm-hmm. And now they're trying to figure it all out on the fly. They haven't thought of the glasses yet. They haven't thought of, the super costume. They haven't thought of any of that stuff yet, and they've got to make it up on the fly in a hurry. And so that's the fun of it, is watching Superboy learn everything, how his powers work. He doesn't have all his powers yet. He has no idea how fast he can fly. He's got all those things are his to learn, and it's a great opportunity to have it all be a learning experience for him.
Mr. Waid, like one story that I would love to see your interpretation of is kind of the idea, since you're writing this Superboy story, is the day that he decides I'm no longer Superboy, that now I am Superman. Because I've made jokes before because of like the Superboy TV series where he's in college and it's like he's still going by Superboy. And then
Yeah,
I'm like, did
yeah.
you just wake up one morning like, you know what? Today is the day I am now Superman.
I know.
But with this story and listening to you talk about it,
Mhm.
there is you can see the
Yeah,
the
there's
projection
progression
story,
there. Yeah.
and that there will be that moment where he's like steps up to that moniker, and I look
Look,
forward to that. Down the
look, if
line.
people keep reading it long enough, we'll get there. But there's a lot of ground to cover in between, and there's a lot of fun stuff that you've never thought about before with Superboy. And there's also the opportunity to reintroduce certain elements of the mythos that have been forgotten but are still fun, and update them like we do with World's Finest. I mean, there's nothing antiquated about World's Finest. It feels very contemporary, but it's still using a lot of the old toys from the toy box. You just got to shine them up and make them feel modern. That's all. So same with Superboy. Something with, say, Bizarro World, which is coming up in World's Finest. I really want to get to the core of the first off the horror element, the body horror element of it. So you're seeing the Bizarros as like more like 28 Days Later Bizarros than you've seen in a while, and then get into the physics of what is a cube world, how does that function? Like it couldn't astrologically, there's no or astronomically rather, there's really no way. I've done my research, and remember, I'm a physics minor. I've done my homework on this. You can't have a cube world. I don't unless you're doing it some funky way, because that's not how gravity works.
The new history of the DC universe.
Yeah. Man,
I'm
that is a
excited to
blast.
read it. I have not got to read this one.
The first issue basically starts at the beginning of the universe at the Big Bang Theory and ends with a certain baby being shot off from the doomed planet Krypton. So,
right,
just the interaction.
Poor Tyler doesn't get a chance to talk at all, because I know I'm taken up with a microphone so much. Tyler doesn't get a chance to say anything.
Oh, I like listening. But I was gonna say, I got my wife this year to read. She's been reading different Superman stories, and I got her to read Birthright, and it was a highlight of her reading. I just wanted to say that because I know you get compliments on all the time, but like she started it one night, and then we were laying in bed, and I started reading it, and I reread the whole thing, and I was just like, it's a story that every time I read it, I get more out of it.
Thank you.
And I appreciate that. And I have a question for you. I'd like your opinion on something.
Sure.
Mr. Waid, I work for CPS.
Okay.
I have a kid on my caseload who is 12 years old,
Mhm.
and I told him, I said, if he likes to read like little comic book stuff, I said, if I give you some comic books, would you read them? And he said yes. And I want to give him a Superman story that will inspire him as a kid and kind of his placement and what he's going through, being like abandoned and on his own and stuff. And I was thinking, I kind of put that out to my friends. What do you think would be a great Superman story to give him?
I mean, I don't want to say Birthright because it feels weird for me to say it out loud. Although that's
it's one that's on there. Like it's one
good.
that
it's very much about the loneliness of the of growing up, with and having to be apart. So I think that would reach him. I mean, there's just so much good Superman material out there.
I mean, I think the new Action Comics right now. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your butt, but I'm just saying. I mean, it's a young Superboy, and it's a great, I think, jumping on point for people, especially kids.
All right, I like Phil's answer. Okay.
Yeah, that's good one, Phil. Good. Blowing that smoke. But no, Birthright was one that's up there, and I'm gathering like just recommendations because I got I have some stuff I have in trade, and I have some stuff that's in loose issues, and I was just gonna give him my loose issues, but I might have to hit the comic book store too to get him some things. So I really just want to inspire him.
But also, sadly, we it's not like it was back in the day. We have to be careful about what we hand out. I used to just willfully throw out DC Comics on Halloween to kids, and then I get to a point where I'm like, all right, I got to look at this stuff and make sure it's appropriate. So
yeah,
I mean that's the big shame too, is like they're not as available to just a kid to run across. And I mean, again, I'm old. I used to have newsstands and spinner racks in the stores and stuff, and
it's interesting.
Right. I mean, I want to write for not specifically for that audience, but I want to write all my material to be friendly to that younger audience.
For everyone, yeah.
I'm not saying every comic should be for everybody. I'm just saying that's my own personal approach. Is I want it to be an all ages book, whatever it is I'm working on, because otherwise you're just writing to a bunch of people my age. Well, we're all going to die. and then I'll have no job. So I want young people reading these comics.
I mean, if anything should be all ages, it should be, like the main Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. All right, I'm gonna go buy an extra copy of Action Comics. I'm going to see him in
Thank
2
you.
weeks. I'm going to see him in 2 weeks. I'll give him it.
1088 on stands now. But no, I was just gonna say, like, I know me and Kristen have been on Batman and Robin Year One. Just the interplay between Bruce and Dick, because I mean, you did promise it, you did deliver that we get as much Bruce and Dick interaction as we get Batman and Robin. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun to write a Dick and Bruce who don't really like each other that much at this stage. I mean, they don't
hardly know
hate
each other. Yeah.
But they're oil and water at this stage. I mean, when you think about it, the only thing they have in common is the murder of their parents, and Bruce thought that would be enough to bond them. And as Alfred points out, you were two wildly different people who reacted differently to this tragedy, and it is not fair of you to assume that this kid is going to be just like you because he went through the same thing. And so there is a lot of headbutting, but obviously it's all going to turn out well in the end.
So is Dick Grayson becoming one of your favorite characters? Because I know you said you did love writing him as the third lead of World's Finest.
Yeah, he's still my favorite thing about World's Finest. I'm writing this Bizarro story right now, and writing his reactions to being on the Bizarro world, which he's never been to, is just so much fun. It's just so great to be able to write comedy, straight up comedy in these books. And Superman's not capable of it. Batman is not the guy who's going to deliver the comedy, but Robin can be. And in Batman and Robin Year One, same thing. He can bring the levity. He can bring the joy.
And speaking of that, great job on the crossover between World's Finest and Justice League Unlimited. Which, again, you're also writing that too.
Thanks. That was a ball.
There was a lot of time travel in there, and again, the Master, he keeps everything straight, and
I think I keep it pretty straight. There's a lot of characters running in and out. I basically, what I do like about that story is that we call the book Justice League Unlimited. So why don't we throw open the doors to the time stream as well and make it truly unlimited? Which is why you've in issue 8 and 9 you've got you got Jonah Hex trotting around with Batman Beyond. It's just we're going all out with it.
You get Dick Grayson Robin coming face to face with Nightwing Dick Grayson.
Yeah, which was awesome. Right. And asking, wait, how many Robins have there been?
that was a great. Like, wait, how many?
Wait, how many Robins have there been? Yeah.
I was kind of waiting for that answer because I was like, which ones they're going to acknowledge, which ones they're not. Like, how many have there been?
So if the opportunity ever presented itself, would you be interested in writing the monthly Nightwing book?
That's a good question. I probably would. I love that character, and I've always said I wanted to write that character, but following an act like Tom Taylor's and Bruno Redondo's is and what's happening in the book now equally as good. I just that's tough to imagine following on. If they give it to somebody who sucks for like 6 months, then that's perfect. That's what you want. That's you don't want to follow Grant Morrison. You want to follow the guy who follows Grant Morrison.
The guy's been working at DC for 2 days. You want to follow that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done it before. It's way back in the 90s, but I mean, you picked up Captain America after Mark Grunwald, who had it for 10 years.
True. That's true. You're right. I've been lucky that way, but it's like I said, if you go back and look at my career carefully, there's a few times and I've stood back and let somebody else screw it up for 6 months or so first, and then let me step in.
So that means, Phil, if you and I ever get to write Nightwing, that means that Mark has prepared the way so that he.
I'll do it. Yeah,
there you go.
I'll try my
best.
Guy
sucks for 6 months, whatever.
I'll try my best.
He's such a great character, and I had fun with him in Absolute Power too. He's the one. I mean, even more than Superman, just a hair more, but even more than Superman, he's the one superhero that everyone in the DC universe listens to.
Yeah, all the heroes trust
because
him,
they figure if you got brought up by Batman and survived that
and thrived
with that, then you are absolutely worth listening to when it comes to strategy.
That is the best thing. If you survive Batman, you must be pretty tough. And, yeah. All right, I want that now. I want you on whenever the
There's
opportunity presents itself.
only so many hours in the day, Phil.
I
But I'll do
know.
what I can.
Come on, Mark. You're only writing what 4 or 5 books for DC at the moment. Come on.
That's all at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just random stuff like that story in Fantastic Four fanfare. Yeah. All right. All right. Can you stay, or I know you said you had limited time, so.
Let's give it another 10 minutes or so. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
I just I don't want to say too much because I want to. He's limited on time.
No, please, and also, don't feel like it's got to be like a steel curtain that falls at 6:45 my time. It's got to, we can ease off, we can taper out. But yeah, I do kind of need to sort of wrap up a little before the top of the hour.
Okay.
Enjoyed the movie, I really did. It was joyous. It was and again, none of this is a spoiler, but what I loved is that it was unique in this sense. And in most superhero movies, if not all of them, the superhero and maybe the villain, they're the fantastical elements that are kind of step into our world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this movie, we're asked to step into Superman's world, and that makes all the difference. And so you take flying dogs with a completely straight face. You take Arctic fortresses and super robots and stuff. You get a complete straight face because you accept it. You've gone in that world and you've accepted, and only the most cynical people could look at this and go, well, this is silly. Well, it kind of is a little silly, but guess what? That's the game. Mm-hmm. So enjoy it further, especially with James Gunn at the helm, towards not goofy or silly or ridiculous, but just sincere. And
so one thing I wanted to say here, this is not blowing smoke, I swear to God, because I didn't even know.
I'll take it though. Please be my guest.
So in our production, and part of our set design was we did like street signs.
Oh, okay? Nice.
And so in my street signs, we have like street signs like, to Hobbs Bay or Centennial Park. And then I have like, my daughter made one for Central City because she's a Flash fan.
Cool.
And like Star City. Well, then I was like, well, I want to hide in Easter eggs for Superman fans. So then I have Siegel Street, nice. I have Jurgens Avenue, and then I have Waid Way.
Good man. There.
And I was like, and my pianist, she knows because she's actually met you before, and we exchanged conversations about getting to meet you in the past. She looks at my set sign, she's like, that's for Mark Waid, isn't it?
That's very cool.
And I was like, yes, it is.
I appreciate that. How well does that play hold up? I mean, first off, you'd have to make some adjustments. You have to make like the Flying Ling Brothers. You can't.
So
can't really do that.
That is we kind of took more inspiration from the 75 TV series version, made them more of a family, and just they're more mafia type. Right. Not any of the dialogue. Nothing is given with the ethnicity.
Right. For those who don't know, he's talking about the restaging the 1966 Broadway show, It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman, which ran for about 6 months in 1966 and died not because it was bad, but because the theater owners expected it to be an adult audience because that's what Broadway is. And instead it was just a bunch of kids who came. And so the adults weren't coming because the children were coming to see Superman. So, that you're restaging it is great. But yes, they're in that original play, including the finale with the bad guys being all these Chinese acrobats. Some of that stuff doesn't age well, but I'm glad to hear you're able to bend your way around it some.
It's slight adjustments. It's being honest with your cast, like, hey, this was written in the 60s, this is what it was, but we're going to present it this way and hope for the best.
Yeah. How do you deliver the exposition about his origins and stuff like they did, in the Broadway film, I think, or the Broadway show, they did a little bit of film, and in the TV adaptation, they did like a slightly animated thing. How did you cover it?
So the way I wanted to do it is I wanted to honor as much Superman history as possible. So I actually found the Broadway film.
Oh, cool.
It's on.
Oh,
it's
that's
on
great.
YouTube.
And use that.
We used that, and then we just filmed a little scenes with our Superman and our Perry White, and I just kind of put them in there. And
that's great.
And because I wanted to give little Easter eggs for Superman fans and being like, hey, this is us honoring the Broadway version because this is the film. So I thought about shooting my own, for it, but then I found that I was like, I think this will be fun because it gives credence to the original.
there's a lot. I mean, it's campy, but in a good way, and it's fun in a good way. So it's certainly family friendly, and I salute you for this. If is anybody videotaping this or anything?
Oh, I will be. Yeah, I will.
Well,
I'll totally be.
if you have it, if you have a chance, you feel like sending me a copy at some point, feel free.
Oh,
Videotaping, by the way, listen to me.
hey.
Recording it is what I should be saying. Are you getting it on your kinescope? Yeah. So do that. Yeah, exactly. Do that send me a copy if you're inclined to.
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
be
I
interested.
will. Of
Cool.
course, no problem. We opened the last week of July, and we're going 6 shows the last week of July and the first week of August.
Very cool. We'll break a leg, everybody.
Hello. Welcome to In the Car with Tyler. It is the weekend after seeing Superman, directed by James Gunn. I'm driving. I wanted to say some thoughts. I have a long drive ahead of me for work. I'm headed towards Cleveland to visit a foster. And I wanted to entitle this, The American Way and the Better Tomorrow. This has come up a lot recently with more so, the truth, justice, and the American way. And I just wanted to talk about that for a moment. And I'm not a political person. I don't get into politics, but the American way does hit things. And there's a lot of people who are mad that it was, been changed into the better tomorrow. But let's just look at this. When Superman was first formed, it was for truth and justice, championing the oppressed. It was very anti-establishment because he was pushing back against corrupt politicians, landlords. He was for the everyman. Okay. Over time, they made him more of like he worked alongside government and people, but he still stood up for truth and justice. Now, the American way was originally added in the radio broadcast during the 40s because of World War II. And if you know your history, World War II was a big turning point in American history, period, for us as a world power, a leader, industrial, all that good jazz. And that concept of the American way had a certain, like the American dream. It has a ring. It has a certain thing about America was supposed to be an ideal country for everyone, immigrants, to come here, to live in harmony, to work hard, to, achieve your goals through hard work. You can do it here in America. We have opportunity, the land of opportunity, and America was very much industry based, and we had pride in ourselves. That was the American way. Now, it would be ignorant of me not to acknowledge that our country is very divided and very split on ourselves in recent years. And not everybody gets along. But our history is full of not getting along. When we should be united, we are often divided. And I feel that what's happened is we've used Superman to recognize American idealisms, but we haven't really fleshed out what that idealism really is, because America itself struggles to find its identity, and we say one thing, but we do something else often. And Superman is a character that's supposed to be a protector of the world, of humanity, and, at one point in time, that was what America was supposed to represent. And you can argue it still does or it doesn't, but the idea is the better tomorrow represents an ideal set for all people in the world. And it speaks to, he's not just representing one group or is an ambassador of one group. Yes, he made his home in Metropolis. Yes, he landed in America. But we've seen instances where, what if he landed in another country? What if, this happened? And that's what we need to key on. And the better tomorrow is set up to really shine the idea of all-encompassing. The American Way slogan is also generational. because you have people of an older generation who still subscribe to what that's set up to be. And then you have new generation who look at America through the modern day contextual lens, and not the idealism that it was meant to be. And Superman shouldn't be a controversial character in the sense of what he stands for and who he stands for. It should be an idealist for all people, but this is a character that can represent everyone for everyone. That's my quick rant. Hope you guys enjoyed the film. Leave your comments below. And remember, look up in the sky. I meant to record this, but I'm just going to throw something out. Levi and I... See, I'm driving again. I meant to record this. Levi and I talked about this real quick before we recorded our Superman review. I really like Spin Master toys. Quick history, when my kids, like all kids of this generation, was into Paw Patrol, we bought some of the Paw Patrol toys. I thought they were high quality, fun toys. When Spin Master got the DC license, I love their 12-inch figures. But I have to say right now, their Superman toys are the best. Sayla has the 12-inch Hawk Girl. Solomon has the 12-inch Mr. Terrific. I have the 12-inch Superman. I think they're great. The articulation's great. They're detailed enough, but they're still fun to play with. I have bought all the 6-inch Build-A-Figure line from Spin Master of the new film. I'm still perplexed that they didn't do an Ultraman figure or a Hammer figure in that 6-inch line. But they're great figures. I highly recommend it. I am going to buy a couple of extras. As some of you may know, you've heard me talk about before, me and the kids throughout the year buy toys and keep them so that when Christmas comes, we donate a large box for Toys for Tots. I'm going to go buy a bunch of these Superman figures because I think they're great figures, first of all. The articulation, they can move, the sizing is perfect. You actually feel like you can play with them, that you're not too worried about damaging them. The price point, it's like $7.50, $7 something at Walmart, and then it's like $9 at Target. But it's worth it. The painting detail, the scale, the articulation. The only problem that I have with them is there's like no accessories. I think Mr. Terrific should have came with something, for the T-Spears. I think Hawkgirl should have had her mace. Green Lantern could have had something you put on his hands, like as a construct. The Engineer could have had like replaceable hands or something you put in her hands, like blades. Superman, you could have come up with something like. It's always fun when I've recently relooked a bunch of the Superman Returns figures, how it came with accessories that break away and break and bend. All it comes with is the piece to build Robot 4, which is cool, But I highly recommend this line. I like them. They move. I think they're better than the Superpowers line. The Superpower line was something I was kind of thinking like, okay, these are great for kids to play with, because all we have are like these McFarlanes, and then like these smaller figures that were hit and miss to find, like 1-inch, 2-inch figures. More like I think 2 or 3-inch actually. But anyways, I highly recommend these figures. Like even if you don't fan of the movie, just having Superman period and Green Lantern and Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific, they're just a great figure run. The Metamorpho one is awesome. I just really perplexed that they didn't make Ultraman. But they made an Ultraman McFarlane, but they didn't make a Guy Gardner McFarlane or a Hawkgirl, but they made Mr. Terrific. So I just feel like there's an uneven balance of McFarlane figures and the smaller figures. But that's my quick rant on toys. I haven't checked out the Flying Crypto yet, or the Kaiju, Superman, or the Abominable that wasn't even in the movie. So check out the 6 inches. Target has an exclusive Lex in a Raptor suit, which is like Lex in the Power suit.
Another thing is, I'm a little sad that I've been to all these stores and seen, Superman end caps and stuff, but I haven't seen that like big middle of the aisle where, like, I've seen at Walmart for Jurassic, Turtles, Captain America, where there's the t-shirts, the shoes, the bedding, all the toys and movies, one-stop shop for Superman right there. It's a little sad. I was really looking forward to that. I mean, that excitement from Superman Returns and Man of Steel, just boom, this end cap thing, just middle of the aisle. Another thing is, I wish Superman Day would get bigger like the way Batman Day is, in the sense that they start putting Superman movies back in theaters. I know there's not as many. That's one of the big things. But it'd be kind of cool if they'd put like Superman Returns, or of course Superman the movie's been back in theaters, but Superman 2 even. There's just not as many to pick from, and I think that's the problem. Is like, do I want to go see Man of Steel in theater again? Yeah, I'd go, but would that be as nostalgic as like when they put Batman and Batman Forever and hopefully Batman and Robin, just so I can round out seeing that with the kids in theaters? I don't know. Tyler on Jor-El. I have so many thoughts that run through my head. I think that this is another example of the lasting impact of the Donner films, and you know what? I think that with Krypton, what it should be is they had not discovered inner space travel. They can only travel so far. Jor-El finds a way of using the Phantom Zone as like a wormhole, and it really is the Hail Mary when he sends Kal-El on a specially designed rocket ship that Krypton had not done. And the whole point, he's not sending him to Earth to be a good, like having some great mission. They're just sending him to live. And that's what the old comics and everything up until the Donner film had established. He wasn't coming here to do anything other than to live. It's just parents doing the last bit of hope so their child may have a life. And he chose Earth because Earthlings are so much like Kryptonians. That's it. That's all it has to be.